Forest finish top 5 this year, and this is not a season where there's any drop off from. Let me finish. This is not a season where there's any drop off from Arsenal. There's no drop off from Liverpool. Liverpool are doing a Man City right now. Let me finish. Stop doing that.
Anything. I just want to keep rolling. Let me finish.
Okay. We've got Keith, Republic of Forest, climbing to new heights. Floor 86 of the Empire State Building. And he's got a picture of him and his family holding one of the, I think it was the third kit or the away kit last year. What an absolute legend. It's Keith on top of the Empire State Building. That's pretty cool, yeah?
Very cool.
We've got the Toronto Trickies. After many years, the Toronto Trickies bid farewell to their stay at the Liberty Commons. They've been there about 5 years, and they're now going to the Fox on Bay. And this is a picture for anyone who's watching on screen of one of their first meetings, about a month into the Liberty Commons. Not one of their first meetings, but one of their first meetings at the Liberty Commons. And it's got Matt, myself, my wife, and various other Toronto Trickies in there. So,
including an ex-Forest player.
No, the ex-Forest player isn't there. But no, you haven't a clue. This is back when we watched us beat Leeds.
On, but
yeah,
he was there.
No, he wasn't there. He wasn't there. Anyway, we've got.
He was there.
He wasn't there. We've got Olivia.
I've been to it once and I met him.
You didn't meet any Forest players. Okay, I'm going to tell you that now. You didn't meet any Forest players. All right. We've got Olivia. You're still baffled. You didn't. We've got Olivia from Chicago, who was on the podcast last week, who was absolutely brilliant.
It was great. Olivia covering for me. I have to thank her so much. She did a great episode, mate. She did a great episode. It's great that Forest have fans in America, especially fans like Olivia. We're very lucky as a club to have fans like that. It's great. Oh, God. Am I on my own live at the minute? I better run the ship.
Okay, so. Are we back? Are we back?
I've been here the whole time. I think yours cut out.
No, I know. I just told you I switched the internet over, so that's just the very beginning. I'm going to have to cut it. That's fine. Anyway.
I didn't hear you. It froze.
Oh, my God. Right, this episode, obviously we follow a loss to Fulham, and we're about to go to play Newcastle away from home this weekend. We will talk. We won't really talk about the Fulham game. I mean, let's just talk about it. Yeah, not good. Was bad, wasn't it? Wasn't good.
Yeah, I knew Marco Silva would outsmart us. Sort of saw it coming. We're a bit gagged as a fan base. Like, Forest have done really well this season. It feels a bit hard to complain, doesn't it? It's just my expectations are really high. My hopes are really high. I just saw it coming. I knew it, and then I can't beat Fulham away. Infuriating, really, because nothing else to say, mate. I've listened to all this is about me and you catching up. It's been a while since we talked Forest because I can't get hold of you ever, and I'm stuck here running this blooming podcast, and you're going off doing jobs, and you can't get me. You're going around the world doing all these stupid retreats and things. Finally, I've got you on. It's time for us to regroup and have our weekly catch up on our favourite football team.
So, were you just pretending to be me there for a second? I imagine you were. You absolutely.
No, you know what it sounds like when I'm pretending to be you.
Right, you definitely are, because you're the one that's been away, and you're the one that's been chaotic, and I'm the one that's wanted you to join the Forest crew and chat to me about Forest, and I'm the one that brought you here tonight, and you've already complained about it before we got on. Yeah.
Because I work for a living around the clock.
Yeah, I work for a living as well, Matt.
Do you? Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. But you don't. Okay, I've just left my job recently. Thanks for letting the world know that. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Matt just wanted to tell you I just left my job on Friday. Thanks, Matt. I actually handed my notice in a couple of months ago and left on good terms. So why don't we just leave that alone and go back to Fulham, right? Because you just made it personal fast.
Sorry, no. You wanted to go on YouTube.
Let's talk about Fulham really quickly. Look, you're right. I think I'm not going to talk about the game, right? Because we know that the game was awful. We know no one played well except for Matt Sells, and Chris Wood played a little bit well. And we know Nico Williams had a 15-minute spell in the second half. And we know Fulham scored 2 aerial goals. And we know we're now starting to be concerned about those threats. And we know that, the last game against Fulham, we should have probably got a draw from it, and they got a fluky penalty, and we should have got a penalty from it. In this game, they scored 2 headers, and it just felt really really bad because we played bad, and it's weird. We play awful against Bournemouth, lose 5-0, bounce back really well, smash a team 7-0, play Exeter somewhere in the midweek, and that was a disaster of a game. That was one of those almost FA Cup classics. And then now we're back with Fulham. Are you hanging your head, falling asleep, or are you
not
pretending?
falling asleep, waiting for you to breathe in?
Okay, I've breathed in. We'll move on from Fulham. The one question and one question only we have for this podcast, apart from our score predictions for Newcastle, which we'll do at the end, is would you rather? I had a few Man United fans message me in the week asking me if I had a choice. And look, we might get neither, we might get both, we might get one or the other. But they asked me, would I rather have the FA Cup and subsequently the Europa League, finish 9th, but you get the Europa League by winning the FA Cup, or would you rather get in the Champions League, which is top 4 or 5, right? At the time, I personally said I would rather get the Champions League because I believe finishing higher in the league is almost like a bigger achievement. You then subsequently backed their argument up. They're Man United fans, so they love the domestics right now because they can't win anything else. But you then backed them up and said that you'd rather have the FA Cup. So we're going to have that debate. We're going to have it out. I'm going to put my case forward. You're going to put your case forward. And we're going to see where we find ourselves at the end of the podcast. And like we said, we might get neither, but it's if we had to choose one or the other to pick right now, which would we take? All right.
So you asked me if I'd rather get in top 5 than win the FA Cup.
I'm asking you, would you rather get Champions League football, or would you rather win the FA Cup and subsequently finish 8th or 9th, but you still get the Europa League as a result because winning the FA Cup gets you the Europa League?
I'm just reiterating it because I don't even think there's a debate. You asked me if I'd rather win the FA Cup and come 8th or whatever than come 5th.
No, I said Champions League. So top 5. Could be 4th, could be 3rd, could be 5th. Yeah.
I'd rather Forest win the FA Cup and got into Europa than they just qualified for the Champions League. Yeah. Because I think that qualifying for the Champions League is something we can always aim for and potentially get again. Whereas I don't, because I think the Premier League's shifting into away from this predictable side. I think with Newcastle, Villa, and now us and Bournemouth pushing for it, I don't think it's that intangible. Winning the FA Cup is unique, mate. It's a really unique, special thing. If you're not Man United or Arsenal or Liverpool or even City, I don't know if they've won it much. But yeah, that's the big. Go on. There's the bone. There's the ball.
No.
Your
so
call.
It's back.
We're in your call.
I'll back up your argument a little bit by saying it. Just shut up for a second.
Yeah.
I'll back up. Like, you've already annoyed me. You've been back and you're already sending me over the edge. I'll be real with you. To back up your argument a little bit, if you win the FA Cup, that's a trophy. So that's a tangible domestic trophy. It's in the cabinet. It's in the locker. And are you listening to me?
Yes, I am listening to you.
Putting your glasses on and looking down at the phone. Put the phone down.
I'm looking at my watch. Please keep talking. People are listening, and so am I.
Okay. So to back up your argument, that is a trophy. It's something tangible. You can look in it'll be in the trophy cabinet with the other trophies. And like, I understand that. For me, I suppose the issue I have is I believe that the league is the biggest competition in the world. I believe the Premier League is the hardest competition in the world to win. Some people will argue that the Champions League is. I personally believe the Premier League is the hardest one to do well in. I believe it's more of an achievement to finish higher in the league than it is to win the FA Cup. Reasons being, teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, etc. I mean, I know Arsenal didn't play a weaker team this FA Cup. They just lost on penalties to Man United. But teams like Liverpool play weakened teams like they did against Plymouth. And it kind of dilutes the competition a little bit. It shouldn't happen. I'm not saying that should happen, but it's the reality of it. I'm not saying I wouldn't want to win the FA Cup. Of course I would. I would celebrate madly. But if you're asking me right now in the moment, would I rather go on a run to the end of the season and finish top 5 or 4, whichever it may be, because 5th may not get it, but it's most likely it will. I'd rather finish higher in the tougher competition. And that's my first point.
No one goes on the history books and goes, Do you remember all those teams that finished quite high up in tougher competitions? This is such an easy argument to win.
Well, okay. Well, let's put it this way. It depends what kind of run we have. Man United won the FA Cup last year by beating Man City. Shut up.
Complexity that shouldn't be.
It's not. No, it's not a layer of complexity. It's a fact. Man United won the FA Cup by beating Coventry in the semi-final, but they did beat Man City in the final. So it felt like
they won the FA Cup.
Yeah, but man, you understand that certain teams do dilute the competition. That does happen.
Forest are in the Premier League, but they got away with 2 penalty errors. They only scraped past Huddersfield in the title. They nearly went out in the semi-final. So really not really in the Premier League. They got into the Premier League.
Okay, okay, that's a fair, valid point. But can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
Why are we prioritising the league right now?
It's bread and butter. We have to prioritise every game. And you have to get as far as you can. Look how embarrassing and crap it is when we go out of the EFL Cup in the first round. Normally, if we go out in the FA Cup, if we sink in the league, all of these things can be true. I don't prioritise either. Imagine if we could win the FA Cup and come 5th.
I mean, that would be amazing. We could do neither. We could do both. Like I said,
I suppose that does.
Sorry, excuse.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I think winning the FA Cup is slightly more special than coming 5th.
Oh, no,
you know what?
It is.
Same thing
I
just said about like if we came in the Champions League, winning the FA Cup one year is something we could aim for as well. Like Newcastle are kind of going for one of the cups. I can't remember which one. I feel like they're prioritising silverware over league position this year. So I guess that could be us as well. I just think it would be cool to go to Wembley. I love going to Wembley with Forest fans. I love being in London. It's kind of rock and roll.
Yeah, but you can go to Wembley for the semi-final. 90s. You can go to Wembley for the semi-final. Semi-finals played at Wembley.
Yeah, I would love that, and so is the final. I'm lifting the FA Cup. It's box office, mate.
It is box office, but like, let's put it this way. I suppose I sound stupid because
if we go to the Champions League, we could do worse than that. Imagine if we go to the Champions League and do like a Glasgow Rangers or.
Okay, I mean that's totally fair enough. I suppose for me, the thing is if Forest make the Champions League, players like Murillo stay for another year. We get to see another whole year of Murillo, right?
Of course, a year. Maybe we need to evolve and let go of that.
Well, hang on. Here's my other thinking, right? So Leicester won the FA Cup in 2021. They don't really talk about it, probably because they won the league a few years before. But Leicester won the FA Cup in 2021. It's not really spoken about. If Forest, and that is, I caveat that with, I know that's because they won the league before, and that was amazing. Them winning the Premier League was incredible, right? But I just wonder if Forest finish top 5 this year. If we do that, the achievement that is from finishing 17th last season and being up against it with PSR to turning it around and getting a Champions League place this year will feel monumental. You're right. In 5-10 years' time, no one will look back and go, "Oh, remember when they finished 5th?" That won't happen. I will. You might, but no one else will. They'll look at the FA Cup and go, "Oh, they did win the FA Cup." So I get that point. But for me, it's like you get a chance every time you play the FA Cup every year. You get a chance to have a go at it. So if there's 30 years goes by, every year it's pot luck. We might get a chance to get in the quarterfinal, semi-final, might get to the final, might win it. I know we haven't won it in a long time, but that's 30 chances in 30 years. We might never get the chance again to be in the Champions League. It's been 30 odd years since we've been in Europe. I know it's been longer since we won the FA Cup, but you get what I'm saying? The chance of this happening might not happen next year. This might be our chance to get.
It won't be next year, but I think it's on the sort of mid to long-term future plans of the new stadium. And I guess, yeah, we're having a debate, and my initial reaction is winning the FA Cup is better. I think winning the Champions League is better than winning the FA Cup.
Well, that's obvious. I mean, you don't need to tell me you think that. We know that. Yeah, that's fair enough.
But you're talking about finishing 5th and winning the FA Cup. I just think there's some rock and roll to that. I think it's cool. I'd love to win the FA Cup with Forest. I'd love to get in the Champions League, but it's sort of like short-term gratification, whereas winning the FA Cup we get more chance, we get more. It's just more kudos. I think it's cool. I don't understand that.
The one thing I'll say is I was talking to someone else the other day, Jordan. It was in Canada, and he said to me, he made a very good point. He goes, we've won a League Cup, 40 years ago or 35 years ago, whatever it is. We haven't won. I think it's 30 years ago. 59. So we haven't won an FA Cup longer than we've won 2 European Cups. In that time, we've won 2 European Cups. We haven't won the FA Cup. So it's been so long since we've had that actual trophy. So I suppose that comes into it as well. And the fact that you actually do get European football winning the FA Cup. You managed to get into the second best European competition, albeit I've seen who Man United and Spurs are playing these days. They're not great teams. But you do get into that second best European competition as well. So it's like a double kind of whammy. Whereas the Champions League is literally your highest finished position. But you get to potentially play Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, all that. And, you got to ask yourself, what are we prioritizing and why? Will we, if we get to the quarterfinals, will we suddenly, or even now in the 5th round against Ipswich, will we suddenly prioritize the FA Cup, or are we going to still prioritize the league? I think we'll probably keep prioritizing the league for a while because it's the most important competition.
Nuno's going to want to spank Ipswich, mate. You're talking prioritizing. We'll get round to it and he'll want to spank them. He's not going to play, he's going to want a quarterfinal. We've had a dip in form. He's lost. Bournemouth are getting all the glory. Iraola's getting all the glory. People get Man City are on the return. Mamouche is getting all the glory. Forest players and staff will have been enjoying, despite the pressure not always being good in the spotlight. They'll be feeling it now. Since that 5-0 thrashing, irrespective of the 7-0 win, there's the Exeter, the Fulham game, the run that's up against us. Nuno and the players will be missing that. When we were beating West Ham 3-0 and we went on that great run and it was just all about us, it was too much of a flashing moment, and they're going to want to extend that, and it's time to turn it around. That includes battering Ipswich in the FA Cup, drawing an easy side, being real possible contenders for the winning of that trophy, as we try to cling on desperately for some sort of European finish, be it the Champions League or the Europa League. I think European Conference would have been an incredible achievement for us, but you know what? Now I just think that will be a disappointment for the fan base. Europa would still be class. Champions League would be hilarious. Just be so funny.
No. So to jump on your point, I do agree. I think that the expect. See, that's why. But no, but that's
a win for me. A win.
Not yet, because I do have one thing I'd like to say. I do believe that you just said that if we got the Champions League, it would just be insane. Which is more insane in your brain? Like us making the Champions League.
I wouldn't shed a tear if we made the Champions League. If we won the FA Cup, I think it would be like promotion again in Wembley. I'd be like,
Okay, so that my thing is sustainability as well. Like, what about if Champions League, all that money you get, that sustains you for another year?
40 million. It's only 40 million more.
Yeah, but you don't get much prize money for the FA Cup, pal.
Yeah, but it's 40 million more. It's kind of
that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. It's not just one player, though. You get all the TV stuff. You get to be on every Wednesday or whatever it is, Tuesday. Just think about it.
We get bigger sponsorship deals and all that. Well, listen, you're into the business side and the administrative.
I'm not into the business. Stop. Don't put words in my mouth. Don't put words in my mouth. No,
Wembley, painting London red, winning the FA Cup, and having written on one of them things around the stadium, 1958. 1970 this, 1990 whatever, 2025 across the thing. Big cup next to it in white on red. That would be class. And yeah, of course we want Champions League. But I think I've made my case. You ain't going to change my mind. We thought at the beginning of this, we're going to change each other's mind. You said you agree with me on about 3 different times.
So hang on, you don't agree with me on anything. You don't agree with me that after finishing 17th. No, you've had your turn. You don't agree with me that after finishing 17th.
Oh, you haven't had a go at speaking for a while, have you? Sorry, Chris.
I actually can't do this, but I'm gonna try. Oh, I could just hear one of my mates listening to this, Edwin, gurgling away, laughing at the fact that you've undermined me once again. Man United fan, no less. Right. I just there's a few points I've written down, and one of them was in favor of you, and it was and not like one of them was if we win the FA Cup, we get into the Europa, we actually might have a chance of winning the Europa League. Getting the Champions League probably won't win it, but we'll have that European moment on stage, place some big teams. Do you know what I mean? So that's I
wouldn't put if Forest get in the Champions League.
Don't say anything. Don't say. I don't want to talk. No. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say we lose a lot of games.
Marinakis wanting to repeat history in a way that no one thought was possible. And I don't know. I can see us winning the Champions League.
Hang on a second. Now you can see us winning the Champions League.
Yeah.
So now, hang on. If we get in the Champions League,
and mad.
But if we get in the Champions League, right, and we might not get in the Champions League, we might not win the FA Cup, we might get neither, we might slip down the table. Anything could happen in the next 13 games. But if we get in the Champions League,
if we get in the Champions League, every person in the world will be wanting Forest to win it. Everyone in the world.
If we get in the Champions League, like you said about Marinakis, he'll pump some money in the summer. We'll keep Murillo most likely because he'll be playing Champions League football with us. One more year. You're like, what's a year? I'll tell you what a year is, Matt. A year is me and you going to Chelsea when we watched him be unbelievable, slide tackle someone, take a shot from distance. A year is him taking a shot from distance against Liverpool. A year is him taking the ball out of his feet against Southampton for no reason whatsoever and running the length of the pitch and nearly scoring a goal. A year of him shooting. Who cares? Who cares? He is class, and we will get one more year of him. That's got to be something.
I think we've got him till 2029
in a contract, but obviously people are going to come in for him. But he will stay if
Marinakis is going to charge mega bucks for him, even if he goes. And you're talking about the financial
100 million.
What?
It'll be 100 million, yeah.
Well, then maybe we should let him go. Maybe we need to do that.
Oh, we're talking about letting Murillo go. No, let's get back to the conversation we were having a second ago. You still think that the FA Cup, look, the one thing I'll take on board with the emotional stuff in the FA Cup, right, is the FA Cup, you say it has a plaque.
Me and you at Wembley again.
Okay. What about me and you and the bloody Bernabeu?
I don't know if I can afford the flights.
I'll pay for the flights. My wife will pay for your flights.
Everyone heard that here. The Bernabeu. I love it.
But no, just imagine, right? So just like this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think we will get spanked in the San Siro. We might put it up to AC Milan.
Against Origi.
Look, Matt, I've made my case. I have my notes. And gradually, as time's gone on, you've started to convince me. What I think will happen is, I think what the truth of this is because as we've said a million times, we don't know what's going to happen. We might get both, which would be crazy. Imagine winning the FA Cup and Champions League. We might get neither, which would be like we go out against Ipswich next round and then drift down the table and finish ninth and don't get a European spot. But weirdly, it would still be a good season, but we'd all be disappointed. We might get one or the other. And the one thing I'll tell you that's going to happen for the rest of the season is as each game ticks over in the Premier League, like it did last weekend, when we lost to Fulham, I'm there messaging the group going, this is why I wanted the Premier League. This is why I wanted focus on the Premier League. But if we get the FA Cup, even against Exeter, I was going, actually, no, focus on the FA Cup. We can go further. Liverpool are out now. Arsenal are out now. We have a chance. I think it's just going to switch every time we're playing a new game. So I think we'll play Newcastle this week.
You should want it all, mate. We have to want it all.
So what are you telling me? You're telling me we're going to go for the FA Cup and we're going to finish fifth as well. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you that me and you and all Forest fans, the current crop of Forest players and the current staff, the current owner, all arrived on planet Earth and will all leave planet Earth. So while we're here, we need to try and take whatever we can without hurting anyone and without upsetting anyone. But this doesn't upset anyone. So we take what we can.
Take whatever we can without hurting anyone and without upsetting.
Want it all.
Brilliant.
My battery's going to die. I think I win tonight's argument. I need to update us on the past 3 weeks of Forest Fantasy 5. Sorry, everyone that's playing. I will. I did it after I did Thailand. I'll do it now. I've been away working around the clock for 3 weeks. Chris, I think that's signed, sealed, delivered. Do I win that debate?
You don't need to end the debate yet and turn off. Just let's do a score prediction for Newcastle and we can. Okay, so Newcastle this weekend. Danscape has his predictor table up. I can't remember what you predicted in that, but Forest all over aren't doing great because of me, because I predicted 2 draws and we've won 1 and lost 1. So I look like an idiot. Can you do me a favor and just tell me what you predict for this weekend? Don't be down and out. Just tell the truth.
Wait,
of
what
did
I predict for this weekend?
In the pathway episode with us, I'll look it up now really quickly and I'll find out. In the pathway episode with us, you predicted, I know Will predicted a loss because he hates Newcastle. He hates Newcastle. Davis is going to the game this weekend. So shout out to Davis. I know.
Hey, Davis. Sorry, I'm not going to be there.
Yeah. Let's have a look. You predicted a loss.
Right. I'll stick to that because I can't see us beating Newcastle this year.
My wife predicted a win for us, and she got the Fulham one right. She predicted we'd lose that. I predicted a draw. I'm sticking with it, 2-2. Are you going to stick with a loss?
All you ever do is predict draws, mate.
Yeah, well, all you ever do is predict losses.
Everyone knows it.
Everyone knows you predict losses. So do you want to just predict
I predicted the most positive outcome by the end of the season. I predicted a lot of wins. But I've got
That's because you predicted us to lose or draw all these games, and then the back end win like 7 in a row or something ridiculous. Which is
that's what I think is going to happen.
So what are you predicting this weekend?
A loss.
I hope people haven't listened this far because Matt's gone down in the doldrums. I predict a 2-2 draw. Apologies, everyone, for the negativity on his end.
I think Elanga can pull out of the bag and just completely uproot them. I mean, we're all desperate for Cho to come back, but you know what? Cho's been good, and everyone's saying he's on, but he's had some games where he doesn't deliver as well. So if he comes back, he needs to be like a new signing.
He is the big difference though to the dynamic in general, right? I think.
What do you think about them pushing Danilo further up?
No. You play. Our best strengths are when Callum Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, Gibbs White are in the 3. That's just a fact. We've seen it all season. And
so who do you put behind them?
This weekend, I'd probably do definitely Anderson in the 8. And then, you know what? I would either play Sangare if he can last a 60, 65 minutes. I don't know if he's match fit enough. Or I might do Dominguez because he's been playing well. That's my honest opinion. Dominguez deserves a shot in there. I know he's not a proper number 6. And I know physically we might get battled off the ball a little bit.
I'd like to see Sangare against Newcastle. I feel like he can. So I feel like he can be our secret weapon against what they're expecting of us.
I'd agree. I actually initially I put Sangare in my team, but it all depends on his match fitness. He's only just back from a big injury, so
I think he could be our secret weapon. I think he's a secret weapon, and I think he needs.
Are you going to say secret weapon one more time? I'm going to say it one more time. 007.
Well, if you say that's so cool again, then I'll be like, right, secret weapon is on you.
All right, that's so cool. Thanks.
There
you go. Look, I think the one thing I'll say about the Newcastle game, just so we can do a brief preview here, is Joelinton's out. That's massive for us. Now, Willock is a very good player and he's in, but Joelinton's out. That's huge. That's a big thing for us, right?
Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm just massaging my swollen ankle, everyone.
Put your foot out. Get your foot out of the frame, right? So ridiculous.
No, it looks kind of dodgy.
Do you know what? Just stop saying things. Sven Botman, just related to the football. Sven Botman is potentially out, but he might come in and play. He was out last weekend against City.
They've got that Wilson. You watch Wilson. I don't mean
Wilson. Isaac's going to play. What are you talking about? Do you mean Isaac?
Wilson. I don't mean Callum Wilson. Who's the winger?
What do you mean?
Who's the winger?
Willock. I said Willock.
Yeah, Willock.
Murphy.
I put in my fantasy. Murphy. Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, he's having a good season, and Gordon as well, obviously.
Yeah.
But look, Matt, Tonali's class. Look, you're already panicking here. 2 things I'll say about Newcastle. Number 1, if Dan Burn plays, Elanga gets at him, gets him an early yellow card. Number 2, they've got eyes on their League Cup. They want to win that League Cup. It's in a few weeks' time. 3, if anyone gets a straight red card in this game, I think they might miss the League Cup final. And I remember they had that panic attack last time with Nick Pope. Now, that's wishful thinking if anyone gets a red card in this game. But they'll be thinking about that in their minds. They'll be thinking about another yellow card. I think Dan Burns on 7 yellows. Does 10 yellows carry over? I don't know how it works. But they're going to be thinking about that. And what they will be thinking about, number 4, is injuries. They don't want to get injured. So if we get stuck in at them and nip at their heels a little bit, I think that they'll feel the pressure a little bit. I think they'll come out the blocks.
And Yates in it.
He's not going to put Sangare and Yates in the same team. I don't think. But I mean, what do I know? I'm not a football manager. I'm just a guy in a hat, in a room, with a couch, looking at you. Currently, no job. It's not like I haven't got job prospects, Matt. You're sat there with your swollen ankle and your feet up at the camera. You absolute idiot. I think that we can definitely get at them. And you know what, Matt? You know what? We might just do it! Follow us at forestallover on Instagram. Or don't do it.
No,
at NFFC all over on X or Twitter. Alternatively, you go to forestallover.com. Sorry this is a short episode, and sorry if we talked a load of nonsense. Look, we just
Why
want
are
to
you
do a wrap.
apologising?
I'm apologising for you.
Don't apologise to me.
I apologise for Matt. Bye.
Bye, everyone.